Speaking of Jokic that we're talking about here, and this whole MVP situation between him and Embiid, as we all know, Joel Embiid has won the MVP. Did you hear about the story with Kendrick Perkins and when he?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Okay. First of
I,
all,
uh, sorry, I didn't want to
go ahead.
interrupt
No,
you,
no, no,
but
no. Go ahead.
you just said Kendrick Perkins, Big Daddy Perk. That's a big name on ESPN right now. I have not heard about this though.
Okay. All right. So Kendrick Perkins went on to First Take as he does, and JJ Redick was on as long as Stephen A. Smith.
Oh,
They were
what do you know?
discussing. Oh yeah, here we go.
Yelling,
Yeah,
yelling.
always barking. First Take. That's all they do is just bark at each other. Okay. So they're discussing the MVP in the league. All right. You know what? Really quick. So just so everyone knows who Kendrick Perkins is, just a little background of him. This guy, when he was in the league, he was known as, correct me if I'm not wrong, Cobrizi, but he was known as a bruiser. Am
Oh
I
yeah,
right? He comes in on the court, he bumps people around, plays hard defense, gets rebounds, gets in fights if he needs to get into fights. Okay. He also he talks a lot of shit. Okay. Now I'm not I respect Kendrick Perkins play in the NBA. Right? I believe he won a championship with the Celtics back with the big three, the
yep.
Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen. That was a fun team. That was a
He
fun
was
team.
the starting center on
Oh
that
yeah.
team.
Yeah. Now, me being a Bulls fan, I hated Kendrick Perkins specifically because that's what he did every single time that we faced him. He was just a dick. Okay. He was a jackass. He was definitely a jackass on the court. Okay. But I do respect his game because he knew that's what he does. He knew that's how he handles things. Okay. That's how he plays. Anyway, let's skip forward. Now he's an ESPN analyst. Okay. All right. Second of all, ESPN really Kendrick Perkins, out of all the retired NBA players that have an education, you get Kendrick Perkins.
Yeah, his Moses Moody clip from the NBA draft, what 2 or 3 years ago, that that should have got you fired.
This guy sounds like he has peanut butter in his mouth. He mumbles,
Oh,
he stutters, and he tends to catch himself in thought sometimes where he cannot finish a sentence. Okay. So, anyway, he's a dumbass. All right. He's a jackass on the court. He's a dumbass in real life. And now he's an ESPN analyst on First
damn,
Take. Okay.
damn.
Now, let's get back to this whole story. Okay. About Kendrick Perkins. Okay. On First Take, when they were discussing the NBA MVP, they brought up Jokic, okay, that he's potentially going to win his third in a row. Okay. People, if you did not hear the stats that Cole Breezy tossed out that he's been doing, okay, he had 53 points the other night. This guy is a stud. Look at his stats of this season and don't tell me those are not MVP numbers. Okay. Okay. Not saying that Joel Embiid doesn't deserve it because he does. Joel Embiid had an incredible season. He deserves it. Okay. But on First Take, by the way, really quick, this was also a month ago. I'm sorry. I wanted to bring this up a month ago, but I was in Mexico. And then by the time that I got back and then we started filming again, I was like, we're not talking about the NBA. It doesn't matter. But I need to bring this up because I think it's important. All right. So Kendrick
Thanks for
Perkins.
clarifying that.
Yeah, just in case, to speed everyone up. Kendrick Perkins suggested on First Take that the NBA voters who vote for the MVP, the NBA voters who vote for the MVP, have racial bias towards white people. Okay. I know it got really quiet. Got really quiet.
Interesting.
Now, I know a few people out there were like, well, no, that makes sense because there's a lot of white owners. A lot of white owners would definitely be all for voting for a white guy to win MVP. Okay. You can think that. Fair enough. I'm so grateful for a guy like JJ Redick who actually stood up not only against Kendrick Perkins, but also ESPN. Okay. He called Kendrick Perkins out for this comment, but he's also calling out ESPN saying, you know what? Enough with this shit. Enough with this because this is bullshit and it's not real. Okay. This is what he said to Kendrick Perkins. Okay. He stood up against KP and let him have it, saying, what we've just witnessed, quote unquote, what we've just witnessed is the problem with this show, where we create narratives that do not exist in reality. The implication, what you are implying towards Kendrick Perkins, that the white voters that vote on NBA are racist. that they favor white people. Immediately, Kendrick Perkins got in defense mode. If you watch the video on YouTube, very funny when you see Kendrick Perkins go, no. First of all, when JJ Redick is talking, he's rolling his eyes, looking up at the ceiling, shaking his head. Okay. And then he jumps in after Redick said what he said. He goes, I stated the facts. I stated the facts. I stated the facts. It's like, okay. So Kendrick Perkins, just I went ahead and said, you know what? I'm going to go look up the facts myself. I'm going to look this up, and I need to determine for my own sake about this debate. Okay. So here's your facts that you decided not to look up, Kendrick Perkins. Now, Go Breezy, can you tell me when the NBA MVP was started in the NBA?
Man. I'll go 50s.
You're correct. It to give you an exact number is 1956. Okay.
Gotcha.
So if you were to do the math, that means that is 67 years of MVPs in the NBA. Okay. So for everyone out there as well, including you, Cole Breezy, out of those 67 MVPs, how many of those MVPs do you think were white players?
I know Larry got 3.
Yep.
So there's 3 for Larry.
Good call.
I'm gonna say it's less than 7.
Oh, you're so close, Go Breezy. You're so close. It is 8. There have been 8 players in NBA history who were white players that won an MVP. Okay. 12 total years out of the 67, because like you said, Larry Bird won 3. Larry Bird won 3. Steve Nash won 2. Dirk Nowitzki won 1, and Nikola Jokic won 2. Okay.
So
who
we're
are the
counting
other
European players? We're counting European players.
Absolutely. All the MVPs. We're counting them. We're counting all the white MVPs. Okay. Can you name any other MVPs, Cole Breezy, that were white?
Man, I mean, you just reminded me about Steve Nash. Jerry West?
No, but just to speed things up, I'll name out some names for you. Bob Pettit, Bob Cousy, David Cohen's, Bill Walton.
Oh, Big Bill.
And that's it, because I already named the other guys.
Big Bill.
So just based on what I have shown you, Cole Breezy, of what the facts that I've shown, which everyone, I will say right now, go out and look up your own facts. Do not just take someone's opinion as the real thing. Do your own research. Because after I just stated those facts to you, are you with Kendrick Perkins on this, as when he says that he stated the facts, or are we going to go with the actual facts that I found on the NBA history?
Kendrick Perkins don't know anything about facts.
No.
You said that 12 out of 67 have been white or European.
And 8, and that's 12 years. There's 8
12
players.
years.
8. So 8 players.
That Kendrick Perkins couldn't be more wrong.
What a douchebag, everybody. What a douchebag. This is another, I'm starting to create the NBA douchebag of the year. I think Kendrick Perkins definitely gets a vote for NBA douchebag of the year.
Kendrick Perkins is definitely in that category.
Yeah. Kendrick Perkins, you suck.